This is your boy.
We're gonna talk about it again.
Hey, hey, man, we are the cool ass nerdy dudes, man. We're here for this is what episode 4?
4.
Episode
Technically, I'm gonna say that every
4.
show.
Every time, right?
We're gonna be on 100, but technically 101 now.
Yeah, man.
Number 4.
This is episode number 4, man. And we are the cool ass nerdy dudes. Canned.
That's right. Hopefully we won't get canned. Oh, this is our show. We can't get canned.
Oh man, you know
There we go.
exactly.
That's what it's about. That's what it.
And what are we talking about today, man?
We were continuing last week, man. We were talking about the music's influence on, I guess, various cultures. We said the culture, but we went into R&B, hip hop. So I guess we're realistically talking about various cultures.
Yeah.
On influence, because I think it's still, it influenced us then, it influences us now. And although hip hop seems to be the hot thing now,
And that's just because it's the hot thing now. Yeah, so we can talk about hip hop, but
still R&B.
Music has always been used to influence. It's always been used to influence the masses.
And on radio they have programs, and that's what we're being is programmed.
Yeah.
And I look back in the day. Remember, we used to hear songs. We'd be like, man, they keep playing the same old song over and over. Play a song 10 times a day because it's programming you to, I guess, you tell me, you would know more as far as being on the inside. Corporations been running it, so they want this song played so this group can get hot. So,
I mean, think about it. Even back in the day and during World War II, Nazi Germany.
my God, we going back.
No,
I thought we were talking about the 70s and 80s. Go ahead.
No,
it's cool.
But Nazi Germany, they would play. They knew when they had the African American GIs in certain areas when the spies, German spies would know where the African American GIs were deployed. So they would sit here and have on the radio, they would play jazz on the radio, and then the announcers would sit here and say, "Don't you want to go back home or come to surrender? Don't you want to surrender? And we'll have some grits for you, and we'll have some homegrown whatever, some collard greens, and we'll have some big juicy whatever, things for you, and you can hear all of the latest Lindy Hop and jazz that you want to hear, manipulative."
Right.
Then fast forward to the Vietnam War, you had Tokyo Rose saying the same thing, trying to get GIs to surrender, to give up, using the media to surrender, to give up. It's effective. So why wouldn't they use hip hop, R&B, soul now to program the masses?
And they're doing a damn good job, especially now, because the stuff that they're playing now, hip hop wise, it should be illegal. When everybody's out here talking about protesting this store, protesting that store for that one day, ooh, that makes a difference. But anyway, that's a whole nother series. My protest is radio. My protest is radio, man, all day.
Man,
I can't sit here and for the life of me, we look at what's going on in our communities, and you have to understand the influence in our communities. And the influence in our communities now are not what they were back in the day. The influence in our communities are truly music. Then music had an influence, but it wasn't the influence. And the influence in our communities now, if you look at it, it's music. Because who are the masses? It's these kids.
Man, let me tell you. So when I was in high school, I had two friends, and
that's it. No, I'm just kidding.
we had this parody of a hip hop song that unfortunately today is not a parody.
We did too. When I worked somewhere, go ahead. I worked somewhere. We said if we need to make some money, let's come up with the most ignorant song we can.
The name of the song was "Shooting, Killing, Suck My." Shooting,
say it. This is our show. You can say it.
I don't want to say it.
You want me to say it?
I don't want to say it, man.
I got you.
But shoot a nigga, kill a nigga, suck my. Shoot a nigga, kill a
Man, y'all
nigga,
be
suck my
billionaires
dick.
now if y'all would have
Shoot a
came out with
nigga,
that.
hit a nigga, suck my dick. Shoot,
Wow.
and then
And
you
that's
get-
hot now. Y'all were playing.
and then you put a, back then it was put a boom bop beat to it, but now you can put a trap beat to it or a drill beat to
The
it,
same beat.
and or whatever, man, and it would be the hottest joint ever.
How about that? Ours wasn't even as deep as that. Ours was like, where them girls at? Me and some guys and girls got together, and we were like, we're going to call the song Where Them Girls At? We right here. As stupid as it was, we were like, all we need is something stupid as hell, put a dope beat behind it, and it's going to sell, because that's how stupid music is. Well, that's how stupid hip-hop is now, mainstream hip-hop. So it's wild that we're all thinking that way, but that's what they're doing.
And it's like,
That's what they're doing. They're putting out the most ignorant songs they can, and it's working, and it's controlling,
yeah.
it's manipulating, it's programming, and we ain't doing nothing about it. Every 6 months, we look on Facebook, and here goes somebody's page. Let's protest this, let's protest that, while our kids are being programmed by listening to this ignorance. And you look at everything they're doing in school. Our kids are failing in school. If you look at most of the, I guess in most cities, it seems like the South Side is where we are. And if you look at most of the schools, we are failing. Our kids are failing, but guess what? They can recite they can recite, and I don't mean recite some decent songs, some decent music. Go ahead, but I'm looking at one now by we can say the names of stuff, because here it is,
go ahead.
lyrically. It's
Yeah,
on
go ahead.
Google. This is being played on the radio. Now, I don't know if they're beeping it out, because it's only so much I can stomach. I can't listen to 107.9. I can't listen to V103 because
What is
of the ignorance. This is one song by NLE Chopper. It's called Gang Baby. Gang Baby, let me bang, baby. Let me fuck some. Gang Baby, let me bang, baby. Let me fuck some. Gang Baby just keeps on. And then it goes on. Hold up, I'm trying to fuck some. In heat, bitch. Let me bust one. This is what's popular. That's one. Gunna has a song out that's hot
And I left my phone, man.
called Goddamn. On and off the jet, goddamn. Oh, I don't know no rest, goddamn. I want my respect, goddamn. I've been running up the check, yeah. When we fuck it, ease my stress, goddamn. This is, people can look at us all day and be like, all right, well,
Okay, pull up the latest Bruno Mars song with him and Sexy Red.
They got another new one out.
No, just him and Sexy Red. Bruno Mars and Sexy Red. I'm a huge Bruno Mars fan.
I think he's a talented young brother.
I think Bruno Mars is probably this generation's Prince.
Well, that deep, but I feel you.
No, I'm saying this generation's Prince.
I got you for who they feel would be.
Yeah. No,
I see what you're saying.
He's super talented, man. And
Chewy, get their mealtime match at
and
a great
Prince-
price.
and
Figure out
Prince,
who loves chicken.
He pushed the boundaries.
Prince pushed boundaries, and I'm not gonna sit here and say Prince was clean. He wasn't.
Especially
he
coming out.
had risque stuff and clean stuff. He played both sides of the spectrum, but
He knew what he was doing.
You got the lyrics to this.
Yeah.
To this, man?
Bruno Mars, Sexy Red, Fat, Juicy, and Wet lyrics. Let's see. That is Bruno Mars. Ooh, wait. Oh, ooh, yeah. Yeah, it's sexy. Hey, Bruno. Ooh, fat, juicy, and wet. Aha. I don't even gangbang pussy so good. Make me throw up a set. Aha. Ooh, that good kitty, good kitty. Make my pet. Aha. Pretty pussy, type of pussy. You ain't ever gonna forget. Fat, juicy, and wet. Pussy like weed, pussy like dope. Pussy like cocaine, put it up your nose. Hey, slob on my clit, suck my toes. 24 karat pussy drip like gold. Throw my legs back, eat my booty from the front. Milk mustache on your face when I come. Hit it from the bottom, hit it from the top. Pop go pussy, cause pussy say pop. That's the gist of it. I don't know what Bruno was saying. Of course, Bruno, I guess... That good kitty, good kitty. Make me pet. Sexy, pretty pussy type of pussy. You ain't ever gonna...
That's enough.
Yeah, I mean, but
mean-
that's the majority of the lyrics in this day and time.
And I'm sitting here like, man, there's no.
Back in the day, you heard lyrics like that from maybe one or two people. What's her name?
All right, so what's the
Jackson? What's her name?
What was the song by Joe? You know, when he
I
said,
want to do all the things your man,
won't do. And he
nothing
said,
about that.
No, Joe said the same thing. But he said, I'm gonna take the subway and go down. It was so poetic.
Right.
It was so poetic.
Right.
It was, I didn't know he was talking about that. I mean, I did, but it
was. I want to do all the things your man won't do. That's not,
what was it? Not SWV. It was the other folk. Escape. I want to go downtown. I want you to go downtown or whatever. I mean, that's. I mean, I'm not an Escape fan, but at least, but at least it was, it was
decent music. It was music that you could listen to and play in front of your children or your grandparents. You didn't want to explain it to your children necessarily, but it wasn't something that they would listen to and be like, "Ooh, you just said a bad word." With that, everything in that
you could play it at the family picnic,
right?
And it'd be fine, man. You can't play Bruno Mars at the family picnic.
Well, you can play Bruno Mars. You can't play that song. You can't
play that song.
You can't play Sexy Red. You can't play Lotto. You can't play Ghana. You can't play, all these people, and it's like this is the norm. This is the norm. But like I said, our kids are failing. And this, again, understand with this show, as we get deeper and deeper and deeper, I'm hoping people will listen to this show and walk away and say, you know what, that makes sense. Let's do something about it. And this one in particular, I'm hoping, because unfortunately, a lot of us our age will listen to Sexy Red and be like, well, she making her money. I mean, that's cool that she's making money off the backs of us.
And I don't want to sound like the old man.
You're not.
But it's just
You're not.
I want better for our youth, man. This
is making it harder. Go ahead. Bad.
I got 3 really, really smart, beautiful boys, man. And they are dope. They are brilliant. And they have nobody to date.
Wow. And I got a beautiful daughter, and I'm feeling like, I do not want her. I am so into talking to her about if a dude ever approaches you and says, you my bitch, you my hoe? No. I got to teach her old school, how a man should still open the door for her. How when you're walking down the street on the sidewalk, the man should walk closest to the street. I'm teaching her things like that. And do you think the majority, I'm not saying all, but the majority, like you're probably teaching your boys that.
Absolutely.
But think about all these boys that's gang banging. They not being taught that. No. That's nerdy, I guess, like, what they say. That's the nerdy side. That's what do they call it? What do they call nerds now? Simps. That's simping now. That's simping. You got to be hard, and that's the sad thing about it, which is another show I want to do. Make sure we do it on images. Because that's all it is.
But let me tell you something, man. I'm teaching at the university. Mm-hmm. I'm teaching at Clark Atlanta University, and I will say this: at the university level, the folks that actually do make it to school, the folks that are actually
trying,
the folks that are actually on campus making it, that make it out of high school and are there. There's hope. Mm-hmm. There's hope. I will tell you, man, I am so encouraged when I'm on campus at the young people that are there.
Wow.
I am so encouraged at the young people that are there, both the guys and the girls. The girls outnumber the guys, however many to one is crazy. But even the guys that are there are winning. They're winning, man. It's cool. I see the most courteous, polite young people. I see them holding the doors open for each other, holding the doors open for me. Doesn't matter, girls, guys. Everybody's holding the doors open for people when they're walking in. Courteous folks. It's just really, really polite, and it's something about this Gen Z. They're different than millennials. in that aspect. And yeah, it's crazy. Yes, they're walking around with their headsets on all the time, and you think they're not listening to you. Till you ask. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that messed me up. So I'm talking to them, giving them a lecture, and as I'm talking to them, and I'm thinking that they're zoned out, not listening to the words that I'm saying, and because at first I'm not getting any feedback, and then I'm asking them questions, and they're kind of like half answering. So then I give them an assignment to get to just see what their thoughts are on the information that I gave them. Man, I got some of the most insightful short essay questions, short answer questions, like thought-provoking short answers. They were really listening. They were tuned in to what I was saying. They're just different. They process stuff differently. And I think part of it has to do with how they don't have the same social skills that we had because of the internet, because of these damn phones, because of the technology. We have to recognize that part. Their social skills are way different. These headphones and smartphones and all this other stuff, it's a barrier. But so we have to figure out how to get past that part.
And I can see that being challenging because I'm sure our parents were the same way with certain things.
Yeah.
When it came to not only music,
But what I'm saying is, even you in your profession, as you're talking to folks,
their interactions are a lot different than it used to be.
yeah.
And
And so what I'm saying to you is you might want to consider some of that in your observations.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I mean, I have to. I don't approach everything the same. I don't approach every person the same because I know everything's going to be different. You think we get out there and to a certain extent we do the same thing all day, every day.
Yeah.
But each person is different. Each call is slightly different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the same elements to the calls, but a lot of it, there are a lot of the elements that are a lot different because of just the individuals.
Yeah.
And you don't know. And a lot of the stuff is stereotyping, but again, we'll call it profiling in my profession.
Yeah.
But we do, and you'd be surprised on what I come up on.
So I wish we were doing this show after my class tomorrow. So we might have to do a part 3 to this, Steve.
That's cool with me because my thing is I think we bring up the positive and everything, and I think we should be positive in a lot. But a lot of the stuff, we have to be a lot more realistic in how we look at it and what we want people to do. And I want to encourage people to start looking at what we're looking at and saying we have to do something about a lot of this. Because, we're going to talk about everything, as we say, from relationships to finance to health. But things like this, we're talking about it and we're talking about the positives, but there's a whole lot of negatives to it. My school, I went to homecoming, and the lyrics of the songs I was just blasting, a lot of that was played on campus. We still got to face those realities. We want to sit up here and say, well, but I see these guys and they're doing it right, but there's a whole lot that's not doing it right. There's a whole lot of gangs on our campuses, especially our HBCUs. We might not want to talk about it, but it's reality. We have to start talking about some of those realities too, because if we always talk about, well, we got these groups and they're doing well, and we will never tackle the issues. And that's one of the things about this show I hope we start doing is tackling the issues, because we need to encourage people to get out here and do something about our issues in our communities, because if we don't, that's never going to be solved, and our communities are never going to get any better. Our communities are not in good shape right now. Let's face the reality.
Our communities are under attack from outside forces and inside forces.
Right, I understand. Systemic racism
No.
has put us in places, but there's still a whole lot more we can do.
No, from within.
Exactly.
No, I'm not
Exactly.
I'm not absolving us
Okay. Because that's what bothers me is we constantly, as soon as something happens, we go back to the excuse of systemic racism. There were systems put in place to put us here, and then we do nothing.
No, we have to be accountable.
We do.
You got to be accountable. Parents have to be accountable.
And that's a big problem because if you look at these kids that's failing, a lot of them aren't failing because of the schools. They're failing because of the parents and the lack of parenting. And that's what I get sick of.
But here's the other thing. You got to and you've probably seen this too, Steve.
Probably.
I know you've seen this.
Right.
How many of these kids don't have parents at home?
But what are the parents doing? Because most of the kids that I see, parents are at home. They are at home. They're not doing it. They're not working. We want to sit up here and oh, she's got 6 jobs. And no, wrong answer. No, she doesn't.
I'm saying how many of these kids don't have parents?
They got parents at home, but they're not doing anything. The parents that I'm seeing, the hair is done, the nails are done, they got tats all over the place, they got all the money for tats, and they get all this tax money back during the season because that's what they want to do. They want to get tax money because of all the kids they got and won't let dad see the kids, and all they want is the child support. It's a whole lot of variables to it. At the end of the day, they're still not being the parents to these kids that they're bringing into this world. And this is what they're doing. They're pushing them off on everybody, and everybody else is being blamed except the parents. That's what we need to start fake. We can say it for you teachers out there. I love you.
So that brings me to the whole other thing that I've said last week. Should folks be pro-life?
Okay. Back to what I was saying. Teachers, you can't say it, but I love you because I know what's happening. These school systems are blaming you for these children's failures, and it's not your fault.
It's not
your fault. They will blame the superintendent. The superintendent will get out. The school board, they sit on their high horse and make all the money they want, make all these decisions, and they use the superintendent as a scapegoat.
Yep.
They use these teachers as a scapegoat, and it's not the teacher's fault. It's not the superintendent's fault. It is these parents or lack of parenting. It's their fault. They send them to you guys to babysit. They have no discipline. They have no morals, no values, and they will sit up here and take up for that kid who jumped on somebody at school, jumped on the teachers. The teachers can't do anything. They can't carry knives. They can't carry guns. They can't defend themselves. And these kids are not small kids. We're talking about kids that's 5'6", 6'6", 6'1", 200 pounds. Some of them football players. Some of them just on the streets big. And they come into these schools and they wreak havoc and they blame you as the teachers. And teachers, it's not your fault. I know you can't say it. It's not your fault. I don't know what to tell you to do. You got to do what you got to do, but it's not your fault.
So here's one thing I can say as a parent of teenagers right now. I can say that, from going from the private school to the public school, I can say that the public school, the way it is designed right now, versus the way that the private school is designed, that the public school is not as welcoming for parental involvement. Just in general.
Whose fault is that? Is that the school board?
I don't know whose fault it is. I'm involved regardless.
Why wouldn't it be as welcoming?
I'm involved regardless.
Because I don't see that when I go to PTO for my daughter's school.
I'm involved regardless.
Okay,
I'm
right.
just saying, but you have I'm involved like in the booster club, I'm involved to the point where I can just walk into school anytime I want to. The principal knows me.
Right.
I don't even have to go through security.
I'm the same way too, especially in my uniform. But go ahead.
love
you to come.
The principal, vice principal,
right.
I don't even, they just buzz me in the building, because I'm up there so much.
Okay. But you said it's not as welcoming.
But that's because I'm up there so much. But
Do you think it's not as welcoming because they're not expecting it? It's so far gone to a certain extent that they're just not expecting? It's like,
Yeah,
oh, wait, here goes a parent that cares.
And that very well could be the case.
Or here comes a parent, because what happens too is it's all about if your child is acting a fool, the parent comes in there, acts a fool, and holds the teacher accountable.
And maybe that's the case because
maybe they're tired of parents coming up there acting a fool.
And that might be the case too.
And the thing is, if my parents came to my school, it was not to go at the teacher. It was to say, what is my son doing? And we apologize basically for our son's behavior or our son's academics. Now it's, y'all, my child is perfect. My child is doing, he's flunking out, but he's a great child.
So, because for me, when I was coming up there, it was always like if I was ever called up to the school because of my child's behavior, my first question was, what were the circumstances that led to my child's behavior? That's the question. Not accusing the teacher. It's what were the circumstances. That's a very neutral question. Because I want to know the circumstances. That's it. What were the circumstances? I want to be on the same page with the adult. I want to be on the same page with the adult. But at the same time, I want to know the circumstances because I understand that adults are human too.
Well, going back to the statement that you made that it's not as welcoming, I truly believe that at this point, it's not as welcoming because the school does not know what to expect when a parent comes to the school. Again, I guarantee you, on the south side of Atlanta, majority of the parents come to that school to go off and fight the teacher. I guarantee we've seen it. We've seen it.
I mean, and I get that, and I've seen it. And
now for you to come up there and say, okay, I want to come up here and talk about what's going on with my child, decent, they don't expect it. Yeah. It's like, my God, they don't expect it. So that's probably why. And that's what I'm saying. We need to get to the point. We need to get to the point of solutions and stop with the, we just keep doing a slap on the wrist. We keep talking about, I know there's some greatness in our communities. There's some greatness. That's obvious. Yeah. I've met your boys, and I'm highly impressed with how you're doing, how you and your wife are raising your children, and how they acted towards me. When my daughter and I came over to your house, they were very welcoming. My daughter, it was great. However, come on with us. Let's go jump on the trampoline and do stuff that children should do.
Right.
And not, let's go in the back room, let's listen to this dumbass rap Gunna stuff. But you know what I'm saying? They were very welcoming. They were talking. They were very respectful. And I appreciate that. I'm not going to say that's a minority now, but realistically, if we go to certain areas of just South Atlanta, and we'll just say that because that's where we are. That's where we grew up. That's where we are. South Atlanta, to include College Park, East Point, blah, blah, blah.
Certain places,
if
you're not going to get that.
Look at it, these teachers are under attack daily. And it's the influence of the music. It's the influence of TV. It's the influence of internet. It's the influence of social media. Is that these teachers are under attack daily. And the worst thing about it is these parents that don't do anything with these children, and these children feel like, okay, I'm not being held accountable. Therefore, if my mom and dad don't hold me accountable, I can do what I want. If you look at it in
the damn fool.
Exactly. If you look at it in the system of law, I can come and get you and take you straight to jail. Not in juvenile. You have to have points, and you know how embarrassing it is when a child jumps on his mother and or his father, and this child is as big as you and I, and overpowers them. And if he didn't destroy the house or do anything truly egregious, which jumping on your parents is egregious, we have to call juvenile. And they ask, okay, who are they? Let's see how many points they have. And you know what we get asked as law enforcement? Well, is there anybody... Juvenile, we're not going to take them. Is there anywhere is there an aunt or a grandmother? And the mother or father just sits up there and says, well, grandmama don't want him. He can't go back over there because of how he acted or she acted. Can't go to aunt's house because... So you know what I have to do? I have to say, we have to release him back to you. That's embarrassing. And then you would wonder why a lot, as a law enforcement officer, I cannot, and it happens so much. You would be, if you rode with me or many officers, you would see That's what I have to do, John. Do you hear me? That's what I have to do. I have to say, hey, John, I know this happened, but I have to release him back to you. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a report for you. Like, that makes him feel better. And you're going to get a court date. And when you show up to court, guess what happens when they show up to juvenile court? Hey, little John, don't do that again. And you know what he says? Okay. And he does it again and again and again until basically a juvenile damn near has to kill somebody. These juveniles are out here wreaking havoc in our communities, wreaking havoc, breaking into cars like it's going out of style. Because guess what? When you catch them, juvenile didn't do anything with them. Juvenile is overcrowded. They get let right back out to who? The parents. They get an ankle monitor. That means nothing because it's not being monitored. It means nothing, man. And it's like this is our future, dude. And we're sit up here. Oh, let's boycott Target. Let's boycott Walmart. Go ahead, man.
No, and it's
nothing is being done. NAACP ain't doing nothing. They want to take up for that girl that hit that girl in the head with a baton. The NAACP is backing her. That's another prime example that you let these kids. So she's not gonna be held accountable. She hit that girl. Come on, it wasn't, I made a mistake and I was falling. She hit that girl. And that's just another example. But you know what? You got somebody like the NAACP saying, hey, baby, it's okay. We know you didn't do it on purpose. You know what she's saying? I got away with it. That's what all these kids are saying out here. And that's why our kids are being raised to not have any respect out here on these streets because they're not being held accountable.
Man, she hit that girl.
I know it. But that's an example. And like I
saw that thing. And I saw the whole thing where you just see the video where her dad tried to defend it.
I didn't.
There's a whole video where her dad showed a whole other.
They showing all these
angles and this whole broke the whole thing down in slow motion and all. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting up here like, man, I don't care what you said, man. She hit that girl.
And that's a prime example of what? Not being held accountable. And your biggest, what is it? NAACP. National Association of the Advancement of Colored People is backing her to sit up here and say it's okay. No, that's why these kids are out here doing what they are doing.
I'm not saying they should throw the book at her for this infraction, but she should not get away.
She should be held accountable.
She should be held accountable, whatever that accountability is.
But just listen to what you just said, and that's what they're saying with all these other kids that's out here doing what they're doing. I don't feel that they should do this to them, but something should be said. These kids know, man. They know. Nothing's going to happen to me.
No, but I'm saying in this case, it needs to be what if it's a disqualification in this case. If it's a disqualification, if it's a I can't, you can't run for a year. That's what needs to happen for her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what needs
to
happen.
What about all these thousands of other kids that's out here wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods? They're one of the reasons that our neighborhoods are the way they are. Our communities are the way they are. You have to understand that I'm in it every day. I'm in it every day. Sometimes we'll come to work.
I have no patience for it, man, because my truck's been broken into 4 times.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about that?
Oh man, I hate it.
Right.
So there are places that I won't go in Atlanta right now
with that vehicle,
with my truck.
Exactly.
Or there are places that I go in Atlanta right now that I just leave my truck unlocked.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't had mine for 2 weeks before it was broken into. And it's sickening because, again, like I said, I'll come to work sometimes and we'll be like, yo, we got to go out here because 20 cars have been broken into. It's the same people, 40 cars broken into. And let's put it in perspective.
I leave my truck unlocked.
How about that? Yeah, understood.
Sometimes when I know that the weather's nice, I leave my windows down.
Right.
No, I'm serious.
I'm sure.
You have so serious.
Because again, I'm putting.
There's nothing because I have to make sure there's nothing in there for them to take.
Right. Just put it in. Go ahead.
I leave my windows down, and the doors unlocked.
Right. And then they're gonna take your truck eventually, because now they're really stealing trucks because they want to use them to back into buildings, so they can take these ATMs and everything of that nature to get into the building instead of just throwing a rock through the window.
They can't take the truck.
I got you.
Because they got to have
anti-theft system, whatever.
Yeah, you got to have the key to take the truck.
All right, but let's put it in perspective as well. If our communities are the working class, I won't say the poor, rich, or middle class. I'll say the working class. A good majority of our communities are the working class, right?
Yep.
So you got the working class who's living check to check,
Yep.
right? So the working classes are the ones who's being most affected by these crimes.
Yep.
Now, you break into my car. I'm living check to check. I have to go to work
Yep.
to make, on average, what's the average here now? $35,000 maybe.
Yep. Somewhere in
And
there.
I'm living in an apartment.
Yep.
You break into my vehicle. Kia was a hot thing. They were breaking into those and stealing those.
Yep.
Now,
because there was a hack that they could steal them. Yep.
so guess what I'm doing? I'm living check to
And
check.
and you can't even get insurance. You couldn't even get insurance for kids
Right.
for a second.
Right. So now, you break into my vehicle. I come out to my vehicle on the way to work. Now I can't go to work. And I'm already living check to check. The majority are living check to check. Let's just face reality. I have to call in, so I can't go to work that day. I have to possibly call my insurance. If my insurance takes care of it, what happens to my insurance? I'm already living check to check. My insurance
At
goes
best, it goes up
Exactly.
if it's not dropped.
There you go. So we got either my insurance goes up, which now I have to shell out more money, or I pay for it myself. And it's rarely anything in this day and time after they've done the damage to the vehicles, usually not just the window. So now I got to pay $500 to $1,000 that I don't have. Mm-hmm. Again, I have to stay off work because that's my only way to get to work is my transportation. Now I have to put my car in the shop. That's another day or two off work. You see all these? But see, we don't talk about this.
And it cascades.
We don't want to talk about this. We just want to talk
they
about
broke-
boycott.
And they did all of that. And what did they get? What did they get?
A gun, a computer, maybe.
Maybe or they got,
somebody's bag of
or
goodies.
they got. In my case, they got a bag that didn't have anything but some bad grades from some of my students in it.
I got you.
That's what they had.
Yeah, I got you.
They thought they were getting a bag with a laptop in it.
Yeah.
But all they had was some bad grades from a test that my students had.
Yeah. They got my daughter's Muay Thai equipment, which was cool because at the time she was outgrowing that. It was time to get her some new stuff anyway. But yeah, that's the thing. So I wonder what they did with that. But anyway, still going back to it, what do we need to do to encourage our community to start doing something about this? Because there's a lot to this, because you got to think everything in this day and time, unfortunately, becomes politics. So that's maybe where we need to start looking. And that's what I go back to.
So-
We need to stop with this. Let's just put this person in because they're a friend, a relative, a frat brother, or whatever, soror, and start putting people in there that's going to do something about our communities, because a lot of our communities have been run by the same people for years and nothing has changed. And we
So-
don't see it,
So what happens when you have
to include the school board.
after school programs where kids are involved?
Who's going to go? That's the thing about it, John. I want to be realistic, man. I see people out here like, we're going to have a stop the violence rally. Do you really think these
they're not.
gangbangers are coming? Well, they
They're
have
not-
gun buybacks. You think
No,
gangbangers
no,
are coming in?
They're not interested in that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But
But we keep doing it. Like, that's all that is making it look good to the news.
no, I'm
That's
not.
political.
No, I'm talking about but things that people are actually interested in.
What are gangbangers interested in? Because they're the ones that's destroying our communities. Okay, what are they interested in? Crime, violence.
They're interested in drag racing.
That's not necessarily the gangbangers, but yeah, that's I know what you're saying. They're out here disrupting traffic. They're out here destroying our property. But you know what? Based on the laws, we're not doing anything about those either.
So find a place where
That's not gangbangers, though. I'm talking about the ones that's out here robbing, raping, stealing, killing us. Not the street racers. I hate them. I hate the guts. But that's not the gangbangers, dude. The gangbangers are the ones that's out here breaking in our cars, raping, robbing, shooting every single day. We don't do anything about it because we want to boycott Target for one day. We want to boycott Walmart for one day. We want to boycott Amazon for one day. And that is not our community. That is not helping our community.
Well, send them to Venezuela instead of these other folks. I mean, I'm just saying.
I feel you. But I'm just sitting here like, what can we do to encourage our people to start paying attention to this nonsense? Because you know what? Everybody can't move out of the hood. Now, everybody that's still, there's a lot of us that move away from it, and I don't blame you. But there's a lot of us that still, if we're not in it, we're close to it.
Yeah, man.
And we're close enough to where it makes a difference, and we're not making a difference. All we're doing is getting on social media and complaining. And then we get up here and again, let's boycott so-and-so for a day. So I'll buy all my stuff the day before or buy it the day after, and that still has no bearing on our community. That's what I want people to start looking at. When are we going to start looking at how we can rebuild our community?
Yeah.
And that's putting it lightly, because again, the variables and we have to look at and we don't want to face, like I said, it's our show, so hopefully we can say things for people that can't talk. Because again, our teachers, I'm in law enforcement, and a lot of us will show up to certain calls like fire, EMS, and all of us will look at each other, and you know what we say? I can't do your job. They'll say, I can't do your job, and I'm like, I can't do you. I'm not running in a burning building. Well, I possibly will. I mean, it's part of my job too, because we have smaller vehicles. We're going to get there usually before the fire truck, or usually before a big ass ambulance. But the thing is, we still say at the end of the day, the majority of your job is this as a fireman. The majority of your job is law enforcement. The majority of your job is in EMS. And, you know, we still have to look at it as teachers. I couldn't see it. You are held, you have to walk on eggshells. You damn near got to pay for everything to fix up your classroom. Yep. If you're a good teacher, which there are a whole bunch of good teachers, but they fix up their classroom, a lot of it with their own money, their own money in our communities. And what happens? The kids come in there, they don't appreciate it. The kids come in there and act a fool all day. Teachers like, I set all this up so I could have a good year. So these students can come in here and appreciate something. I can teach them something. And if you got a class of 30 people, 25 of them are disruptors. What are we going to do? We're doing nothing. We're doing nothing but talking about it on social media. Teachers, again, I'm saying I love you. But you know who needs to be held accountable? The politicians, the school board. Instead of the school board constantly blaming the teachers, because it's easy for them, because they're going to keep their jobs. The school board's going to keep their job. You know why? Because we have citizens that's going to keep electing them, because you know what? These citizens don't pay attention like we should, and say, hey, let's get a school board in there that's going to do it. But you know, what can you do? Because at the end of the day, it's the parents. And I guess you can't say it's the parents because that's too politically correct, or it's politically incorrect to say what it really is. Parents, it's not the teachers.
So here's the solution. Parents and teachers need to get on the same page.
How? Yeah, that's easy to say.
No, but that is, it's easy to say, but that is the solution.
Okay. How many parents you think realistically right now gonna say, you know what John just said made sense? Hey, you know what I'm saying, right now? Because this is how they think, and they look at that like, that's buzz. I ain't gonna sit up there. Too much responsibility to sit up here and raise these 6 children that you had.
But it's
by 8 different daddies.
But it's the solution.
It is.
But it's the solution.
But now what? That's the solution.
Nobody said the solution is easy. So here's the thing. But you can. What they say?
Because these parents out here listening to Gunna with their children.
Okay, so check this out. Somebody said this to me a long time ago. Being fit is hard. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Being fat is hard. Choose your hard.
I got you. Now, how do we encourage these
I don't have the
baby
answer.
mamas and baby daddies
that
are smoking weed,
I don't have
coming to school in bonnets and pajamas and throwing their kid out the car, blasting Gunna and Sexy Red. And you think their kid is going to go to school thinking, I just got through listening to Sexy Red with my mama smoking weed, and now I'm ready to go in here and learn. I'm going to save the world.
We didn't get here overnight. We're not going to solve it overnight.
But it ain't getting better. Ain't nothing happening right now.
We
worried about boycotting Target.
We got to solve. We
worried about boycotting Target. We're not boycotting 107.9 and 103.1 V103.
Hey, y'all, we're going to solve this thing one episode at a time.
and it'll be cool. And I feel you, because you and I are thinking like that. And I'm sure out of the friends and relatives that I have that may watch us, one or two of them are going to say, you know what, I'm on board. What do you want to do? I had a partner. You know Monye.
Yeah.
I mentioned something like this on a post one day, and Monye was like, "Man, I'm all in. You just tell me what you want me to do. You call, blah blah blah." So I say that as an example.
Yeah.
It's everybody's not gonna be on board because a lot of us are just like either you're lazy, you've moved away from it, so you don't care. It doesn't affect you. But at the end of the day, if you talk about it, it affects you. Because don't sit up here and say, "I got away from it. I moved away from it. So F it." I get you. I don't blame you for moving away from it. I don't blame you. But the thing is, don't sit up here and talk about all the other stuff that we need to, that you feel we need to do because the View told you to do it, or the Fox or CNN told you to do it. It's affecting us. If it affects us, it affects your community because you got relatives there. All your relatives ain't rich.
Right.
You got relatives and friends that are still affected. I got friends because guess what? A lot of my friends are teachers, and I feel horrible for them.
Yep.
Because the same thing they feel for me being in law enforcement with the stuff we have to face, I feel for them. Because again, it's being set up. It seems like this liberal mindset is all about the enemy, the criminal, the person that's doing bad. It's not about, hey, you know what? Let's back that law enforcement officer. Let's back that teacher. The NAACP should be in these schools. They should
Every
be
day.
in these schools
Every day.
saying what we need to do about these kids that's out here running. You show schools at a pep rally. Soon as Sexy Red comes on, they jump. Oh, that's what they doing.
Yeah.
That's horrible, dude. The school, number one, shouldn't be playing it.
They shouldn't.
A high school?
Should not be endorsing Sexy Red.
No.
Should not be
When
endorsing
we did a
Sexy
pep
Red.
rally when I was in high school, it was the band. We got them hyped. The cheerleaders got them hyped. We all marched in, the flag team, the drill team.
The school should not be endorsing Sexy Red.
Right.
All right. Hey y'all, we gotta put a pin in this. But I do want to say one thing. Because I did want to say that we gotta bring this conversation back for part 3.
We can keep on because all this is going to encompass a lot of what we plan on talking about anyway.
But tomorrow in my class, I gave my students an assignment for them they have to do an elevator pitch to convince me why I should listen to or like or become a fan of their current favorite artist.
Wow.
They have 30 seconds to persuade me to become a fan or at least give a fair listen to their favorite artist. Using the tools and descriptions of what constitutes music that we've talked. It's a music appreciation class.
Okay.
And we've talked about everything from, classical, blues, jazz. We hadn't really gotten into hip hop yet. But we've been, going, we're coming into modern music now, but we're kind of bouncing into some different things. But right now, this is the kind of break up the monotony of the semester.
I got you.
So they have to convince me 30-second elevator speech. So the next time that we get together, I'm going to report back what some of their responses were.
Okay. All right.
I think it should lend to some interesting
I'm sure it will.
conversation.
I'm sure it will.
Because I'm going to give them, I'm going to, whatever they tell me, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to give it a listen.
Okay.
Well, I'm only going to listen to the ones that were persuasive enough.
Cool. I look forward to it.
With that being said,
Oh,
man,
wait a minute. You said we need some new couches in here.
Yo,
I'm going to holler at my boy Quintravion. Quintravion kind of goes against.
These couches are kind of low, man. They're not good for
That's
my
cool.
posture,
I got
man.
Quintravion on it. I already sent him a text. You gonna have your couches in here. Trust me. I know Quintravion is a part of what I've been talking about, but you kind of need somebody on the inside. So we're gonna get your couches for you. He already knows he's on it. We might have to meet him after midnight on a Sunday behind Quick Trip. We'll talk about it, but he's on it. You need anything else? You know what I'm saying? I'll text him right now.
Oh, man. Hey, man.
We got to take him some Black and Miles, though. Some Black and Miles.
Hey, man. As the street poet Chuck Woolery would say, I'll see you in 2 and 2.
Peace. This is the shortest show we did. 3 weeks.